Good evening all. എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. ഇത് അസാപ്പിന്റെ അഡീഷണൽ സ്കിൽ അക്വിസിഷൻ പ്രോഗ്രാമിന്റെ വെബിനാർ സീരീസിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഈ ഒരു വെബിനാർ അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇന്ന് ട്രിവാൻഡ്രം ഡിസ്ട്രിക്ട് വെബിനാർ ആണ്. സോ വി ഹാവ് വിത്ത് us a very distinguished speaker, Mr. Melod Harikrishnan sir, and who is currently the head of the GMR Aviation Academy. So as we all know, GMR is one of the biggest infrastructural companies in the world, and it's a matter of pride to all of us Indians because it's an Indian company. And our speaker for the day, he has around 2.5 decades of industry experience, specializing in corporate strategy and airport development. And also, GMR-നെ കുറിച്ച് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ കേരള ആയിട്ടും നല്ലൊരു ബന്ധമുണ്ട്. കണ്ണൂർ എയർപോർട്ടിലെ ഒരു ഓപ്പറേറ്റിംഗ് പാർട്ണർ ആണ്, ഇഫ് ഐ എം നോട്ട് റോങ്. And with ASAP also, we have a great bond with GMR. കാര്യം ASAP-ന്റെ ട്രിവാൻഡ്രത്തുള്ള കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി സ്കിൽ പാർക്കിൽ ഒരു ഓപ്പറേറ്റിംഗ് പാർട്ണർ ആണ് GMR. So we have got 1 hour. It's a 1 hour session. And you can post your questions using the Q&A tab. അതിൽ വരുന്ന റെലവെന്റ് ഉള്ള എല്ലാ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസും നമ്മൾ സാറിന് അടുത്ത് അഡ്രസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും. So sir, welcome to the show. And we have with us the GMR team as well. Right, sir?
Great. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Karthik, for a brief introduction. To be honest, it's been a pleasure actually for us as GMR to have interacted with ASAP and all the initiatives that Kerala government has taken on this particular note. I see that I think more than 92 people have already logged in. So I'm sure there's a good amount of audience which is very interested to know what kind of job opportunities are there, what kind of training programs that we deliver. What we'd like to do is to utilize and make sure that there's maximum benefit for the audience to gain from this interaction. I would like to take a few minutes on a brief presentation just to give them the background of what GMR Group is about, what kind of training programs we do, and what kind of placements and job opportunities that lie ahead in the present environment. So what I would like to do is I'll share a brief presentation. In the meantime, I'll just give you a brief about GMR Group. Like Karthik just mentioned, for everybody's benefit, GMR Group is a large multinational conglomerate. We are headquartered out of Delhi. It's an Indian-based company, and we are largely into infrastructure verticals. Our core domains are airport, road and infrastructure. We are into power. We are into special economic zones and various other diversified businesses. As in today, when we speak, airport is our kind of forefront and the main core domain in which we have kind of expanded not only within India but also internationally. In terms of the airports that we manage in India, this will be kind of news to most of the people that in India, other than Delhi Airport, Hyderabad Airport, we also manage another 4 airports which have been recently awarded. We operate Delhi Airport on a concession agreement with Airport Authority of India, likewise Hyderabad Airport. Now we are building what we call Greenfield Airport. These are new terminologies. Greenfield is where you come up with a complete new construction. So we are building a new airport in Goa, and we are also building a new airport in Andhra Pradesh, near Visakhapatnam. Other than that, we are taking over the operations of the existing Nagpur Airport, and we have just recently taken over Bidar Airport in Karnataka. So presently, we have 6 airports in India in our portfolio, and we also operate 2 airports in Philippines, which is Cebu and Clark. And we just recently been awarded a contract for operations and management of Crete Airport in Greece. That's in Europe. So as a group, specifically speaking on the airport front, because I think the whole audience is more aligned with the aviation side of trainings, we are one of the most aggressive players when it comes to development of airport facilities and operating it. And a couple of weeks back, a group called Groupe ADP, which is Airport de Paris, that's a French company, which is again the world's largest airport operator, has invested 49% into GMR Group. So jointly between ADP and GMR, we become actually world's largest airport operator. So that's kind of the background I wanted to kind of set for you all to understand who GMR is. And now comes to GMR Aviation Academy, whom you've been having an interaction with. So Aviation Academy is actually the core function of providing training services to all our airport verticals. not only in India but also internationally. And like what Karthik had just probably briefed you all, we have recently signed up an agreement with Kerala State Government, with ASAP, Additional Skill Acquisition Program, to set up our first Center of Excellence, that is a CSP, Community Skill Park in Trivandrum at Karakoram. And there we have agreed with the government and ASAP that we will be launching a couple of training programs, which should be effectively rolled out from next month. So of course, in the present circumstances, there was a slight delay with COVID situation, but I think we are more or less on our set milestones when we have to be rolling out these scheduled programs. Get you to understand a little more about how the aviation industry works. I know some of you would surely be aware of what's happening under the COVID situation, and a lot of people have been hearing a lot of press news, that aviation is probably the most impacted sector, and there are no flights, that's operating from the airports. Everything is being cancelled. Yes, which is a very true fact. But when we look at our own Indian industry, and for this, I'll actually quote a couple of data and statistics which are there in the industry. The Indian aviation industry, from the time of our independence in 1947 till about 2012, had less than 400 aircrafts in our commercial fleet. When I say commercial fleet, those are your passenger aircrafts. But in last 3 to 4 years, we actually have seen a growth of more than 200%. The fleet from 400 had gone up to about 750. This is only specifically speaking about the domestic traffic. So the Indian market is more dependent upon our development of our own remote airports. In India today, we have more than 125. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt this, Karthik. So I guess the presentation has been on for
It's fine. Is it visible to everybody?
Yes, we can see the presentation, sir. Please carry on.
Yeah, great. You will probably see the date of 18th November 2019 because I didn't want to divulge from the presentation that we had provided to ASAP when this project was awarded. So I'm going to touch base upon those critical points, what we had presented to Kerala government when we said we would one of the most apt into training areas. So touching base, I've already known about GMR group. So as I said, we are into various different main infrastructure fortes. This is kind of our presence on a pan-India basis. And this is where we have a presence on the international front. A couple of the airports which I mentioned in Philippines and Greece. And with the recent investment from Group ADB, we will of course be looking to have more presence in the European forte. Coming back, of course, our experience in Kerala, I think, which was just briefly mentioned, we have been very active with the launch of Kannur International Airport. We have actually trained the whole management team at Kannur Airport. These people were actually brought over to Hyderabad. We gave them a hands-on training about what airport operations is all about, how to handle passengers, how to handle a cargo, how to handle airside operations. They were there with us for, every individual was there for close to about 4 weeks with us in Hyderabad. And then we continued with the training with them in Kannur. Post that, in December 2018, I think it was 9th when the official opening happened. Before that, we had done a process called operational readiness of the airport and transition. So then we had trained all other stakeholders at the airport as well. We have also done various other training programs in Kerala, including line maintenance. It was more like engineering and aircraft maintenance. Recently, we've also taken over the duty free at Kannur Airport, for which we have also started retail training. And other than that, in terms of training, we start from senior leadership roles coming down to blue collar positions. These are just a couple of our activities. I don't want to get into very details of it. So a couple of the training programs which I'll come into detailing it out during our interaction with all the audience. I will specifically try to focus on the areas where I believe there's a great opportunity for all of you to enroll into these programs, where we believe that is a lot of placements are in place. So as I was just coming back to my last point, even with the present environment, though people have a bit of a reservation in the aviation sector, as I said, with programs like UDAN, which was launched by our government. Second thing is, connecting all the tier 2, tier 3 airports, where the whole idea was to bring in more connectivity within our own remote villages, remote cities. We believe that as soon as the post-COVID phase is over, I think we as India will start recovering on our aviation field. As you would appreciate, our land mass is very large. Our infrastructure is still to gain the same level of momentum, compared to probably other developed countries. Before the rail infrastructure, road infrastructure will develop, I think the aviation sector will surely continue to boom. And this is not only supported with the passenger movement, but it's also supported with cargo movement. I mean, today you're probably hearing about all the cargo movements that's happening, evacuation flights that's happening at the airports. So we ourselves are very strong in our belief that the sector is going to rebound. And that's where we believe, training is going to be a critical part, because with the kind of development, not only us as GMR Group are doing with developing so many airports, all other what we call PPP airports, which is private partnership airports like the Adani Group, like Cochin Airport, CIAL. Now we have other players like Bangalore is now with Fairfax. There are more private players coming into the sector. So we see a lot of more job opportunities that is going to arise as soon as the whole COVID situation settles down, and we slowly start coming back to normalcy. Again, as I said, our dependence is not very hugely on the international market. As a country, we believe India itself has got enough airports, enough business that can sustain ourselves. So, as I said, the growth of the aviation industry, from 400 aircrafts to 725 aircrafts in 3 years, itself reflects the kind of volume that has shifted. And an example I can quote is, one aircraft that is added by any of our domestic airlines immediately creates close to 72 direct jobs and close to 250 indirect jobs. So that's kind of the volume that we are looking into it. And for us, we believe with the present scenario, recovery should probably start from the third quarter of this year. I'll more specifically mention about kind of job roles that are aligned at the airport. Before that, something that you should understand about GMR Aviation Academy. As I said, we are already part of a larger global conglomerate. We are part of a large airport operating group. But also we carry a lot of accreditations which is recognized at the international level. So if you look at the presentation right in the center top is ICAO. ICAO is the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is actually the international regulator for the aviation industry, not only for India, but across the world. So they actually set the precedent, they set all the regulations, and then it is transferred to the respective ministries in different countries. So in case of India, it will be the Ministry of Civil Aviation. So they take those regulations and then it is enforced into the system through our regulator, which is DGC, Directorate General of Civil Aviation. So with ICAO, they also have a recognized body which acknowledges the efforts made by training institutions. Secondly, they also regulate them. Thirdly, they also audit them, and then they certify them to a particular status. So we are, as GMR Aviation Academy, we are in a good position today that we are one of the 8 global RTCE, which is the Regional Training Center of Excellences. Along with us, the same credentials are shared by Singapore Aviation Academy, Incheon from Korea, then GCAS, that is Gulf Center of Aviation Studies, and then we have a couple of entities from Europe and South America. So that gives us a lot of credibility when it comes to the quality of training that we provide, the kind of job roles that we focus on when it comes to training, and more specifically, it also benchmarks us along with all the other international peers. I'll just go on from my left-hand side. We are also part of the NSDC. I mean, this benefit of students who are probably not aware of the other regulatory bodies. NSDC is a government body under the Ministry of Human Resource Development, which is the National Skill Development Corporation. We are a training center and training partner with them. The second one is Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University. This is actually India's first and only aviation university certified under the Ministry of Civil Aviation. And we are the first knowledge partner with them. Presently, we are delivering 2 training programs with them. One is a postgraduate diploma in airport operations. And the second one is basic firefighting course for airport professionals. I'm sure some of you must have heard about IATA, which is the International Authority for Transport Association. With them, we are both an airport authorized training center and an accredited training school. Coming to the center, ACI is an Airport Council International, which kind of is a body that recognizes all the airports across the world, and they do a lot of benchmarking, which kind of benchmarks airports in terms of their performance, in terms of their service quality, in terms of their compliance, safety, security, and other aspects. With them, we are actually recognized as the global training hub. Below that is Aerospace Aviation Sector Skill Council, which is a more sector level council. Again, we are a partner with them. Then with AAA, which is the Association of Airport Executives, we have launched the Indian chapter of this program, which is more like an executive MBA that we are doing. This is more for professionals who got more than 3 years experience in the airport domain. Above that is DGCA, which is our regulator, Director General of Civil Aviation. We have recognized them as their training center. And more importantly, which is not there in the slide, is of course ASAP. So along with the Kerala state government, we are their partner focused on the aviation related training. I'll give you just a background so you all know what kind of volumes we handle, what kind of number of trainings we do. We train close to around 40,000 professionals every year. We have trainers coming from different backgrounds. We are also tied up with various universities and professional institutions, not only in India, but also overseas. And we have multiple job-oriented programs. Now, of course, presently today, we will only be discussing about 6 or 7 key job roles. But other than that, we also have other programs that gradually we can roll out in Kerala. Our programs are not only limited to the Indian diaspora, but we also focus this to international entities. So we have a lot of participants who come from various countries, from the Middle East, Asian regions, including Europe. So these are, this is something, of course, the training verticals speaks about. But I would like to get you to understand, I'm sure like, most of you have been to an airport, taken flights, traveled around the place, not only in India, also must have traveled globally. So how the airport demographic is divided is, one, when you're entering the airport, what we call that is city side. So there is kind of a perimeter, which is a secured perimeter, which is the airport environment. City side is where we all come in, then we show our security passes, clear the CIS of security clearance, and enter the airport. So once you enter, that is called the terminal side. And after you finish the terminal, you do another security before you board the flight. And anything that happens after your aero bridge or when you board the flight is called airside. So our trainings are actually demarcated into all these 3 different zones. So we have training on the air side, we have training for the terminal operations, and we have training on the city side. Along with that, there are a couple of other domains which are more technical, like if we look at cargo operations, we also look at things like maintenance and repair of aircraft, which is called the MRO services. So that's the 3 major bifurcation is what this particular slide reflects. So we have training modules in airport operations, we have in safety and compliance, we have ARFF, which is the firefighting side of things, we have aviation security, we have non-aero commercial development. This comes more on your city side and terminal operations, where it is more to do with the kind of revenue that you generate from passenger movement. Then comes the technical programs, which is in the airport IT and infrastructure, then airport environment and protection, then comes soft skills. Now, this is another very key area because we also have programs which focuses more on what we call guest relations, where you are kind of interacting with the passengers. We have your ticketing services, the people whom you see at your ticket counters who give your boarding pass. Then we have people who handle customer grievances. Then we also focus on areas like cabin crew. I mean, those are the programs that will gradually start launching it in Kerala. But immediately we have aligned a couple of programs with ASA. Other than that, of course, there's a consulting wing. Again, there are programs which are driven how to get people into thinking of entrepreneurship and consulting. In terms of the training modules, as I said, probably highlighting them, there are different programs which can get into airport operations, airport IT, engineering, firefighting and rescue, cargo operations, dangerous goods, behavioral training, and security. So these kind of, in large, kind of collate the overall airport industry and kind of the trainings that we are delivering. This, I'm just giving you a kind of a snapshot and a picture snot, but very honestly, this is not going to be what we'll be looking at doing in next 2 to 3 months till the COVID situation passes out and we start complying with the social distancing. But these are kind of the classroom trainings that we provide. One example is airport operations, which is a 3-month program. So we have 2 months of classroom training and 1 month of on-job training. And if you look at the bottom, we have placements that goes not only with ourselves at GMR, but also our stakeholders. When I say stakeholders in an airport, you have ground handlers who actually handle the movement of the aircraft. Then we have airlines who handle their own aircraft movements. Then we have service providers. There are multiple service providers who provide you services like it's housekeeping at the end. You could have F&B, food and beverages. You'll have movement services out there. So all these become our stakeholders at the airport. So anybody that we train, we look at placements for these. This again is an example of our firefighting training programs. This again is a 6 months residential program that we have it ongoing. Again, most of them do, of course, get employed with GMR at our respective airports in Delhi, Hyderabad, and the other airports which are coming up. But we also get them placed with all the other private airports within India. And some of them also get opportunities in the Middle East, especially like, Qatar Air Force. We have got some of our people working with NATO forces in Afghanistan. We also have people who have worked with us for some time and then got placements in the Middle East airports like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Saudi airports, the rest of them. This is a program that we have, which is a postgraduate diploma in airport operations. And you can see the campus, where the training is happening. This, of course, is very focused for graduates who have completed the graduation. They have to go through an entrance exam process, and then they're selected for this joint program with RJNU. Because we have a lot of non-technical programs as we speak, So this is programs which are for general graduates, even for school leavers. Of course, the entry point for all our programs is 12th pass. We do take consideration to diploma holders and ITI pass outs as well. But that is on a case-to-case basis and depending on the program that you're inputting. So this gives you a thing. So, the whole gamut of training will go from airport operations, cargo operations, industrial training, getting into retail management, ground handling, and various other IATA and non-IATA related courses. I think this is where I would like you all to probably take a note of the kind of programs we have. So it could be anything in airport operations, ground handling, airport rescue and firefighting, dangerous goods, management and leadership, some technical programs if you're from an engineering background, and any other airport related. In terms of understanding how this process will work from our perspective, as we said, we are a partner to Kerala state government under the ASAP program. So what we would like to be extending ourselves, like this exercise is very good. I'm actually very glad that we have so many participants who's enrolled this particular session to at least understand, what kind of training programs are available with prospective placement opportunities. So idea for us would be that we will go with the kind of an advertisement and marketing process. And once this happens, we would request all the students, I'm just showing you my cursor moving, for students to enroll at the ASAP center, where they have to provide their credentials, including their education qualifications and all the basic identity information and all. After that, there's an assessment that will go through it, where we'll understand what the capability of the student is, what the aptitude, what kind of interest they have. Then specifically based on that, we will start aligning them with various training centers. So them, of course, will be trial-based. Some of them, depending on the program, we can also start.
Excuse me, sir.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt. Actually, the audio is breaking in between a bit.
Okay. Is this clear?
It's better now, sir. Probably if you can explain this particular slide once again, how to join the process. Maybe that's what actually a lot of people here are looking forward to as well, how to join the courses. So probably if you can explain this slide again, that would be much better, sir. And a few people are actually asked, like, if you can switch in between to Malayalam as well, if it's okay for you.
Okay, got it. I'll give it an attempt, but please don't quote me on my accent. People struggle.
No issues. Thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much.
No, no. For the benefit of the audience, ഞാനും നാട്ടിൽ തന്നെയാണ്. I'm from actually Kannur. പക്ഷെ ഞാൻ പിന്നെ നാട്ടിൽ നിന്നിട്ടില്ല. അപ്പൊ അതിനും എന്റെ മലയാളം കുറച്ചൊരു ആക്സെന്റ് ഉണ്ടാവും. ചിലപ്പം മനസ്സിലാവാൻ കുറച്ചൊരു ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ടി ആയിരിക്കും. അതിനോട് പിന്നെ that's why I was not stressing
No
on
problem
Malayalam.
at all. You can as you comfort, as you wish, you can actually switch whenever you can.
Okay, okay. I'll prefer finishing this in English, and then when I'm doing the Q&A session, I'll try to get to Malayalam.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay. So just as Karthik requested, I'm just repeating this particular slide. All students understand what process you need to apply. Of course, ASAP will give you more guidance and clear deliverables and the processes to be complied with. Of course, we'll be doing a Pan Kerala and India advertisements for kind of the job positions and training programs that will be launched. Once the students show interest, they have to enroll themselves at the ASAP center. Presently, we've been awarded with the Trivandrum Center at Kargodu. We are of course in discussions, and we'll be looking at other centers that we can at least register the students. Training, of course, would be provided at Trivandrum to start with. Some of the training programs, like what I've mentioned, may also have some essence of their on-job training or experience and exposure at our other training centers like Delhi, Hyderabad, Anandpur, and all. What will be important is for the students to have an interaction with our team, to be able to explain what their aspirations are. Firstly, they should know that they understand what the aviation industry is, to some extent, what kind of job roles they would like to get into. That's where we will handhold them, get them to understand the job roles that is available, what fit their aptitude, their qualification, their interest. Then we'll recommend them for the specific training programs. Once they are enrolled, we go through the whole training session. The way we have ensured that our training programs are more effective is, see, we are not an institution to provide training and just give a certificate. Let me be very clear here. Our objective is to ensure that people after the training are given some level of confidence that there is a placement and a job opportunity. Let me again categorically, we are not here to guarantee jobs, but we will assist you to ensure that you get yourself qualified and you are trained to that level that when you go for these specific interviews, you should be one of the first guys to be selected for that. In terms of statistics, I'll give you this from all the training programs that we run at our centers in Delhi, Hyderabad, or in other places. To date, we have been maintaining more than 90% placement records. And the reason being because we are not, as I said, we are not here just to train and certify people. We also get people to understand what these job roles are about. We try to give them hands-on experience about what practical environment will challenge them with, what you have to do. So like an example, if it is a firefighter enrolling with us. So we actually have a 1 month exposure for these firefighters in a real life airport environment. So they know exactly what the job role entices, what they have to do, experience of sitting on a fire tender, how to look at the movements, understand. So that's kind of something which is unique to our training programs where we have the on-job training experience. So this is where we will try to structure all the programs. We'll have this interaction with the students, get them to understand what the job roles is about. Once the training is over, give them that experience of having some kind of a practical experience at the airports. We are in discussions within a couple of airports in Kerala as well as a couple of airports in the adjoining area who will give you an exposure to that practical experience. Based on that, we will also align a couple of interviews with the potential employers, including ourselves at GMR, but also the stakeholders like the airlines, like the ground handlers. We will assure that some level of interviews, at least one or two, are aligned. And finally, of course, it is all up to your drive, your aptitude, and we will support you with all encouragement to ensure that we all get in, everybody's back into the job positions. Further down, in terms of fresh courses that we also have, there are a lot of operational courses like ground handling. So when I say ground handling, it is not one job role. You could have like a forklift operator, you can have aerobridge operators. There are technical courses. There are a lot of courses provided by equipment manufacturers. When it comes to soft skill training, you have guest relations, you have ticketing count associates, you have customer service associates. So we'll give you an outline of all different job roles that's available in the larger aviation ecosystem. I think in a brief, I wanted to kind of limit it and not make it a very boring session with a lot of presentations. But I just wanted to get you a brief understanding about, what the airport industry is about, what kind of job roles are. Karthik, I think it may be much appropriate
Yes,
if, we make it more interactive with the students.
definitely. Yes, we have a lot of questions pouring in actually. So I probably take very few questions which I feel is relevant. We'll start on a lighter note, since I saw from your profile that you have been dealing with greenfield airports. So surprisingly, we have a question regarding like what exactly is the concept of a greenfield airport and how relevant is it in India right now?
Okay. This again, since you're put it on a lighter note, let me also probably respond on a lighter note. In Malayalam, I'll say, if it is like your Tarvada വീടിന് modification ആണെങ്കിൽ, that is a brownfield airport. നിങ്ങൾ പുതിയ ഒരു plot വാങ്ങിയിട്ട് വീട് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, that is a greenfield airport.
Okay, sir. So an entirely new construction is a greenfield airport.
That's right. Yeah. Another lighter note, yes. So what a brownfield airport means is, the existing airports, like Airport Authority in India, the whole structure has been all the airports have been under the sovereign control of Airport Authority of India, which comes under the government of India. And so recently, from 2006, looking at the way the whole globalization was happening and what other developing countries were doing, the Indian government also took initiative to move into what we call privatization. This is a PPP model, which is a public-private partnership. So based on that, started the process of developing either brownfield airports or greenfield airports, where you get a private operator to come, put in their investment, take the airport for a concession period. So usually the concession period is for 30 years, which can be extended depending on how the commercials work. And these operators then make the investment to develop the airport. So like Cochin was already an existing Airport Authority of India's airport. But when the CIAL was formed, it is a PPP, public partnership, where private players have come in and they've taken, and they are the ones who are actually investing in the airport in terms of the infrastructure and development. So today, like the Terminal 2 and all that's been developed, is all the private funding which is coming. But under this arrangement, of course, there's a revenue share model. So there's some amount of revenue that is earned every year is shared with the government. So that's a brownfield model. A greenfield model is, I'm more specifically taking examples from Kannur Airport. So Kannur is a complete greenfield because there was no airport in Mattanur. So what they have done is there was 3 small hillocks that was all leveled up. The whole filling was done, the whole roads and the access ways were built in, and the airport was built. So that is a greenfield airport.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So we have the next question. Like, so what are the futuristic courses in aviation sector? So we have Rahul asking that. So just like in other fields, we have the AI being implemented, artificial intelligence being implemented, and so on. Like the exponential technologies elsewhere, what all are the futuristic technologies in airport management?
Right. I mean, that's actually a very good question. And I'm actually impressed that somebody's asking me at that level, because today, along with the globalization and the way the airports have started connecting, I mean, it's become a network of airports. It is not like one airport is able to sustain its own growth and development. It's kind of, initially what they used to call the hub and spoke model. That you have one airport which kind of connects to various smaller airports that moves in. But today, I think airports in their own merit have started developing to that extent, depending on the level of connectivity they have, what kind of trade and economics and demographics kind of support that business. So today we are dependent heavily on the technology front. And when it comes to asking about, like things like AI, in terms of machine learning, in terms of block learning, in terms of using AV augmented virtual reality and all that, that's where I think most of the leading airports are moving towards. One thing when you specifically mentioned about AI, the reason that the airport industry has kind of adopted that is so reason there's so much of data and information that we collate as an airport operator. I mean, just take a single person's example. You're walking in there, you're giving them all your personal data, information, where you're moving in, including airlines are holding on your banking details. So there's so much of information that is getting collated. which is not, previously it was limited, but now where the traffic is increasing with modernization, technology. So all these instruments are now getting more and more influencing the changes, also getting integrated into our day-to-day operations.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for that. The next question has been asked by Indira Mani. So she's asking, like, with big players like Airbus are thinking of closing down a few facilities. So is aviation, how much sustainable is aviation? And we've got a lot of questions related to that particular line itself, like how sustainable is aviation gonna be in the future, the near future, actually.
Okay, no, it's a good question. I mean, like I can only refer back to history. I mean, I'm not myself in a position to probably predict what may happen. I mean, we all have to keep our fingers crossed and be optimistic and believe in the trends that we have seen. So I won't go into very far-fetched history as well. I mean, you look at the whole 9/11 scenario. I mean, that was very similar. At that time, also people believed, that was the end of the aviation industry. But what came out of that was a complete different market. I mean, there were people who suddenly, invested into it. But one good example I can give you as a case study you can all refer to is Ryanair. This airline did exist 2 years before 9/11, and the CEO of Ryanair, he went down, and because he knew that the aviation industry is going to take a big hit, he went down and bought over all the aircrafts which are on the order book for Boeing, and he's operating the largest airline in Europe. Of course, still pre-COVID situation. So that was one. Second, of course, we have faced similar situations with SARS. When SARS had an impact in the mid 2000s, then we of course had other scenarios like Ebola and Zika virus and all. So yes, I mean there is always going to be an impact. There is going to be a change. I mean, recession also has an impact to it. There are different business aspects, that will always influence. But if you look into it, that's why I kind of wanted to stress on the fact that we as India today, I mean, I want to speak more specific from the Indian perspective, is we still don't have that level of infrastructure that needs to connect all our cities. I mean, today, tomorrow, once we start getting back into the revival and growth model, aviation is going to be the first mode of transport that's going to connect the cities in a much faster way. Then comes your railways and roads. Coming back to speaking about manufacturers like Airbus and Boeing, I wouldn't like to quote anything on their behalf, but see, all the manufacturers do face their own challenges. Boeing has faced their own challenges with Max. Airbus has probably faced their own challenge with the launch of 380. But specifically, they all understand, this is a trend where there will be, highs and lows. But holistically, I think, we all believe we have to align ourselves towards what's going to happen in the next couple of months. I know what people are seeing is, all the aircrafts parked in, our runways, and all the airports are filled with aircrafts lined up everywhere. But gradually, when the revival starts, I think normalcy should be something that we could expect in a couple of months.
Sure, sir. Kind of a follow-up question only. So it's not with the manufacturers. It's actually regarding the airlines actually. So Nishant has asked, we have been seeing news on how different airlines have been letting go of their employees or even cutting down their salaries. So what is your take on that? And how we can revive from that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you have to look at every news that, you hear and come across, and probably also, be able to dissect it and understand what is the actual facts. So, there are different versions of news, that's been spreading out there. There are a couple of news in the international domain which says, a couple of the airlines are going bust. Most of them have applied for bankruptcy and all that. But then the government itself understands, most of the governments are, supporting the airlines. Indian government is also doing the same. The idea is to support the airlines. And again, in terms of when you look at job cuts or, pay cuts and all that, I don't think so far, at least I can speak from, our own perspective, we haven't seen anything that has been impacting the industry per se. We haven't seen any kind of major change. There would be a lot of course, there's an impact when it comes to your, aligned services. You have your kind of core airline staff, then you have a lot of other industries which are dependent on your services. So surely, because there's no business happening, there may be an impact on it. See, I'm not positioned from an airline perspective to speak what kind of cuts they are making and all, but I'm sure there is some kind of a correction that's happening. but I don't think it's majorly having an impact to say that, no, this industry is going to take, because we're all, here right now believing, and I mean, I'm speaking about the whole trading aspect because we all believe, in the next few months that the industry is going to start gradually reviving itself. It won't be an immediate jump that we all accept it, but it will be a gradual. I mean, our own airports, we are still functional. I mean, we still have evacuation flights happening. We still have cargo flights happening. So it's just a matter of time. Keeping our fingers crossed, everything staying under control, and if we can go through this particular phase, I'm sure the industry will start seeing the green shoots.
Sure, sir. Okay, good. So the next question is pretty interesting. So someone asked how to make a career as an aviation lawyer. So he wants to become an aviation lawyer. So and I'm not pretty sure about what that is. So if you have any idea about that, if you can help him.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing because I mean, that's something that we also had focused before. As I said, we are doing programs like postgraduate diploma in airport operations. We are doing something like an executive MBA with the AAA guys. This was one subject that we had also explored because in India we don't really have tailor-made programs when it comes to aviation law. I mean, we have smaller, shorter programs and all that. So usually it's not yet aligned as a proper degree program and all that. But that's something that even we are exploring into it. But we have, I mean, not us as GMR Aviation Academy, but there are a couple of institutions which are providing short-term programs aligned to it, which also have been tied up with a couple of the management schools and all that. But we ourselves have not yet gone into that space.
Okay, fine, sir. So regarding the firefighter course, so Rahul wants to know whether like what kind of a course, what kind of certification is being offered. So is that a diploma certification offered once I complete? Is that a diploma, sir?
Yeah, Karthik, I just want to check. Is it possible I can get some of my colleagues also to probably respond to a few questions?
Yes, probably, sir. We can do that. I guess they, since they're panelists, they can actually unmute themselves and then probably present for this answer.
Okay, then I'll just give a brief introduction because I would like Mr. Tiwari to take it. He's actually our head of operations and he's actually heading our firefighting program. And he's actually there in the university right now in Rai Bareli in UP. And I mean, he can give you a hands-on experience. He's been there with the academy for the last 8-10 years. I think 10 years with the group and about 8-9 years with the academy. So I think he may be able to give you a little more in-depth hands-on information on this.
Sure, please. Nagendra sir, if you can actually answer that question, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, good evening to all of you. And can you just repeat your question once again, please?
So, good evening, sir. My name is Karthik. So, the question was asked by Rahul. So, he wants to know more about the firefighter course. So, what the opportunities are and what kind of a certification is being provided by GMR? Is that a diploma or a certificate course?
It's a certificate course. And the certificate will be issued jointly by Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University and GMR Aviation Academy. It's a 6-month residential course. And coming on to, the career, first of all, see, we started off this course way back in 2013. And till date, the placement percentage is around 95%. And most of the candidates are placed with our, 2 airports. Even though we are not able to, let me tell you very frankly, we are not able to fulfill the demand. The demand is such that after getting around 1 to 2 years of experience in India, as Mr. Mel said in his, in the start itself, that most of them, they head towards, Middle East. Maybe 1 to 2 years of experience here in a big airport like Hyderabad or Delhi, and then they work with Qatar Petroleum, Qatar Air Force, even NATO forces, Abu Dhabi, Dubai. So the sky is the limit for them. All depends upon their performance, initial performance after the course, maybe for just 1 to 2 years.
Okay, sir. And what kind of salary packages can they expect after completing the course? So that is also one question which has been asked generally, not just specifically to firefighter course. So after completing all the aviation courses, the general salary packages that they can end up.
If you talk as of now, I can tell you about the firefighters. The moment they get placed, the initial salary is they get is around 21,000 rupees in hand after all the deductions.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. And Manoj sir, if you can actually throw light on other courses as well and the salary packages as well?
Yeah, sure. So, what we had initially planned out for launching our programs in Kerala, I think we wanted to focus on one, of course, basic firefighting. Because we believe there's a huge potential for this particular job role. The reason being, is every airport has to have a minimal threshold of firefighter. It's like your normal, fire services that you have in any district and services. You need to have, X number of people there. That's the same case that goes for the airports as well. And presently, there's a huge shortfall of professionals across most of the airports in India. So that's where we believe that the placement opportunities lie good for firefighters. The other one we had aligned was certificate in airport operations. This was a 3-month program, so 2 months of classroom training and 1 month of on-job training. This will get people, as I gave you the demarcation before, people job opportunities in the air side, in the terminal operations, and also to some extent on the city side. So this is kind of a holistic program that we covered kind of all aspects of the airport ecosystem. Also getting them understand the regulatory requirements. The third program that we have planned to launch is certificate in cargo operations. And as you're all been hearing about this whole cargo movements happening at all the airports during the present lockdown period, that is a specific trade. And for that, there is a lot of technical qualifications that's required. So the cargo operations will include all these areas. Then along with that, we're also launching the retail management. Your own experience of going into an airport, you see a lot of the duty-free shops, all the other retail areas. This is depending on the entry level of where the people are coming in. This could be a shop floor position, or it could also be a managerial position. And other than that, we're also looking to be launching the programs on the customer service associates. There we have a huge demand. I mean, these are the people who are, as I said, could be on the guest relation side who interact with the passengers. They could be the ones who are handling the ticketing counters. They could be handling all the customer grievances, the back office. The other domain that we also have is on the security front that we haven't highlighted yet, but this is for the airport security side of things. People that you see, not these CIS of people, that is the Central Industrial Security Force, not that position, but there's a lot of security roles that we airport operators handle themselves. So those positions again go through a very intensive training process. So security training also would be one of the important. So I think we wanted to kind of start off with the limited number of programs, rather than coming up with all the other portfolios which I've already shown you in my presentation. So these will be the core domain that we'll immediately start with.
Okay, sir. Actually, we've got another question that's from Anjali. So Anjali has asked a couple of questions. The first one is, she's asked, GMR has won the bid for Philippines airport and it is completed in record time. So will the students of GMR get an opportunity to get placement or internship at airports of these kind, like probably foreign airports?
Yes, I mean, surely. The whole idea is, of course, we will want people to start getting their experience in our Indian airports before we immediately place them out there. But to answer that specific questions, I'll clarify it. Today, we are running and operating Cebu Airport, where I think more than 50% of the staff are actually GMR employees, Indians who are there. So there are some cases where immediately, what we have different programs like management training programs and graduate engineering programs. So some of them have been deployed directly there as well, but most of them would probably have gained some experience with our Indian airports before they are deployed on the overseas.
Okay, sir. And very general question. So, what is the maximum age criteria? Is there any age limit for the aviation courses? So, what will be the maximum age limit?
See, this is something that we've been following not only our own requirements because we don't do age discrimination, but specifically when we have looked at all the other stakeholders and what kind of entry level positions are there. Usually for entrants, when I say entrants are, kind of graduates or people with work experience of less than 5 years, usually they'd like to have them below the 30-year bracket. But people with experience who have relevant experience in the same level of industry, not necessarily the airport, but have relevant experience, that age barrier can be relaxed. So per se, there is no kind of limitation, but of course, so the preference, as I said, for entrants would be around the 30-year benchmark.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And so Hari Krishnan has asked, several NRIs are predicted to return back to our country, probably jobless due to the COVID crisis. So, are there any aviation job roles in our country that the interested ones can aim for with a minimal training to get immediate employment?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly, what our approach to this is as well. Let me, for the benefit of everybody else, we are also similar to what we have done with Kerala government. We're also trying to align ourselves with other state governments, where the whole intention is to ensure that, people who have got and achieved some level of experience can be upgraded, what we call upskilling, and upskill towards kind of the job roles which will be coming up in this particular sector. Uh, we, of course, can only speak from our perspective as GMR, because we are going through a major expansion program, which I didn't highlight earlier. So we are going through an expansion program like in Delhi Airport. We are coming with our fourth runway. We have three runways. Like runway is, where the aircraft lands. So like Kannur has one runway. So in Delhi, we have three runways. Now we're coming with the fourth runway. Likewise, in Hyderabad, we're going through an expansion program. Then I mentioned about the greenfield airports that we are developing in Goa and close to Visakhapatnam and Bhogapuram. So all these airports, we have to get more and more people there, more specific and trained to the job roles that's coming up. So yes, idea for us is to act like a finishing school, where people have the experience, they have the technical knowledge, academic knowledge, and we give them that understanding of what the job role is about. So even for people like, who are coming back from, Middle East and other places and all that, they surely would be having their own skill set. But our idea would be, if they want to enroll with us, get themselves trained, upskill themselves more specifically for the job roles, what's available in the aviation.
Okay, sir. Great. So Neetu Raj has asked. So probably she's asked, where can I come and register for the courses? So is there any other office for GMR apart from the ASAP office in Kerala?
No, presently, as I said, we only have the offices that ASAP, the setup that we have in Trivandrum. But other than that, for other cities, we have in Hyderabad, Delhi, our other centers where we are delivering training as well. But that's outside of Kerala. We shall, of course, discuss with the ASAP to see if we can also avail the same facilities at the other CSPs, community skill parks, if we can have some kind of a registration desk or something like that. So that I think we'll have to get the clarification, and then we'll be able to update them.
Okay, so at the moment the only office that they can contact directly is the Community Skill Park Transit Campus that we have in Trivandrum, right?
Yeah, either that or they can contact my colleagues in Delhi or Hyderabad as well.
Okay, sir. A general question that we have here is, can you tell something about the airport environment and pollution vertical? And is there something, any course related to that particular aspect?
Okay, that's a very interesting thing. Again, I would have actually like to pass this question to Mr. Tiwari, because he's actually one of our course developers. And going back into one of my earlier slides where I mentioned, we are part of the International Civil Aviation Organization as a regional training center of excellence. So one of our commitments is also to develop a lot of training programs which are very specifically tailor-made to understand these kind of requirements and address issues and challenges that most of the airports across the world face. So one particular module, the terminology-wise we call it STP, Standard Training Packages, is developed on a concept called LEAD, which is Leadership in Environment of Engineering of Design of Airports, which addresses all issues and aspects about the environmental impact, our carbon footprint, how these airports are designed, how we look into the whole HVAC. HVAC is your whole heating, vacuum, and all the provinces. So that program is being developed by us, and it's there. But that comes at a technical level that we have done it. So yes, there's a lot of commitment from airports like ourselves, on that particular front.
Okay, sir. So we've got a lot of questions as well. So we're actually nearing the end of the session as well. So we'll probably go and take a couple of questions and then we'll have to wind up as well. So the next question is, after 12th, after schooling, which would be the best course to pursue, and what would be the minimum knowledge required in terms of subject to pursue a career in aviation? That's a question asked by Ashna.
Okay, see, after 12th, we have a couple of programs. One, of course, we have spoken about the firefighting program. And let me just clarify, firefighting is not only for men, but also for women. In our present batch, I think we have two lady trainees as well. So that again, it's a career that somebody can build in. Of course, it all depends on, your own background, your education qualifications, and what your aspirations are. Other than that, the other segments that you can get into is like the cabin crew program is there. There are a lot of the customer focused areas, that you can avail. There are a couple of programs on the ground handling side, which is immediately after the 12th. Others slightly more when I come to managerial level positions, I think the general trend, not only from our side, but also our stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, it's not only GMR, but also other players in the industry, where the airlines, ground handlers. Usually the preference is given to graduates, because those are more where you have to take a lot of decisions, manage a team. So I think that kind of a bifurcation usually is there in the market.
Okay, sir. And one more question, and that is Nidra's asked: is technology going to take away many jobs, as aviation industry cannot afford any more errors, and it's pretty much very sensitive to errors? So will technology take away more jobs? So that's a question.
No, I think okay, technology will not take away jobs. I mean, I think let's be very clear with that. Technology is here to kind of assist us and make better decisions. I think we ourselves are going through the whole process. From a training perspective, as I said, we are looking augmented virtual reality. We're looking into machine learning, block learning. So we are also understanding those things. I don't think they're here to take jobs. They're only here to support and advise us much better, and probably assist us in taking more focused and with the decision making gets a little more structured.
Okay, sir. And regarding CPL also, quickly I'll ask that question regarding CPL. So how to join, how to attain CPL? The first step that should be done after 12th standard. He wants to become a commercial pilot.
Okay, sadly, we are actually not into that domain. I mean, that's one particular aviation position job role that we don't cover. Though saying that, about 1.5 years back, we actually had a flying school, but as a group, we decided to come out of it. So we are not into commercial pilot licensing CPL program. But since the question is raised, I can give you a couple of ideas. What you can do is, of course, the various government, like one of the government-run institutions in Goa. Again, what Mr. Tiwari mentioned, RJNU, where we are tied up with. So along with the National Aviation University is the National Flying School as well, which is called Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Aviation Academy. So people can directly apply there, and that's a complete government-run scheme. Other than that, of course, I think most of the airlines have their own programs, where they're taking students for the aptitude program and do the training. I think what you need is your 200 hours of flying time and everything. So airlines have their own structured program, and then of course you have the central government.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So if you have any closing notes, probably we can do that, and then I'll wind up the session.
No, thank you very much, Rishu. I mean, firstly, I would like to thank all the 94 participants who've been here. I mean, it's a great pleasure. I know times are not easy. I would have probably personally prefer to, probably do it on a more personal interaction at a particular location, hopefully in Trivandrum itself. But saying that, I know it's kind of a tough choice. Most of you youngsters have to make at this particular juncture. Most of you must have graduated, got your results in hand, and all that. But have faith. I think the markets are going to surely change. I mean, this is not a situation that's going to continue for very long. I mean, that's one thing that you all have to have faith into. Transportation itself is an industry which needs to connect people. Technology is surely assisting us to probably shorten and make it easier. But aviation is one which surely has a larger grasp of things when it comes to globalization. And with kind of the technology that's come into it, with the changes that's happening, I mean, there's a lot of other parameters, that's also already been progressing in the back of it, which now with COVID probably is probably taking another hit. Like, the whole concept of drones, whole concept of air taxis. So there are a lot of other newer changes, other than our typical airports that we have envisaged and understood to date. There are a lot of changes that were already lined up. So personally, we do believe, this is one sector which has a lot of opportunities. It will bounce back. And So there may be a lot of apprehensions with people and all that. But this is an industry which has a lot of potential. And job role wise, you have to believe wherever you start off with, I mean, it's a career that you're building. You know, it's not a job that, you keep moving. Once you get into the aviation industry, I mean, you can work your way up, and it's a career that you can surely focus on. And it's always a very challenging, enterprising industry. And I'm sure, everybody's at a different perception. It is one which doesn't have or doesn't give you the benefit of making any errors. I mean, we are very high when it comes to our security, safety records. So this is one in industry that keeps you on toes, but surely gets the best out of you as well.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure having you as well as the entire team of GMR with you. Thank you so much for joining us. And on behalf of the entire ASAP family, I'd like to thank you as well as all the participants who have joined us here. We look forward to having more sessions with you, probably, as you told, face to face after this COVID crisis is over. So wishing all of you a very good evening and a very good weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rishu. Thank you to all the participants and my colleagues on the panel, and more specifically ASAP for all the efforts you all have taken and the good work that's been done.
Thank you, sir, and bye, everyone. How you can.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.